What I want to do now is resonate with Job's solution and come out of this maybe with a little more certainty in my life.
Yes, I agree, Sean. And let me just walk through a few passages that I have found that have been helpful to me in my study. Job chapter 6, verse 24, Job came to the point where he basically said, Lord, teach me. He asked God to help him to understand and to learn to trust him, that no matter what, he knew that God was the creator and that God was the one that could give him some instruction to deal with life. And so he turned to God in prayer. He began to pray and say, Father, help me to understand. Help me to be able to develop a closeness with you. And Job tied with that in Job 26, verses 1 to 14. He begins to talk about, Lord, give me understanding. Help me to learn how to live without all the answers in life. And then he begins to talk about in Job 26 a little bit more. He talks about understanding God's power, that God is all-powerful, that God is creator, that God's all-understanding. And I'm reminded that in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, it says, in the beginning God created the heavens.
Right.
God created the earth. He created everything. So Job begins to turn to God as creator and say, God, because you have created me, because you're in control of every aspect of my life, I ask you now to help me to know how to deal with the issues that I face. And Job did a good job with that, because it says that he turned to God and he released his life to him and said, God, I just put everything in your hands, that which I do not understand, that which I do not have solutions to completely, I release it to you. And Lord, I trust in you. If you can take care of the flowers, as you say in Scripture, if you can take care of the birds of the air, then I know you can take care of me. And so that's in those. So he began to turn to him, and then out of that, it just reminds me, Sean, there's a lot of verses in Scripture that come out that help us to have the same experience that Job ended up with, and it says that in Job 38, that God gave Job twice as much as he had before. Now, sometimes we look at this as simply maybe his material wealth, but I look at it and see it's a blessing that God spiritually blessed Job as twice as much that he had.
Right. And we often come out the other side of a crisis stronger and better than we were before. You know, in hindsight, I keep saying, okay, it wasn't your will, God, that I suffered, but look at what you did out of that suffering. I believe that my faith is deeper and my relationship with you is stronger than it was before I went into that. So even though it wasn't your idea or your plan, you turned it for good, and I think I'm a better person today.